Hello and welcome to another Monday night stream. Do apologise for missing last week, but I'm back here this week and looking forward to building, or basically improving the Myrkr Base virtual set for chapter 19 onwards. I know it's 18 isn't finished yet, still waiting for some dialogue to be sent in for that so I can finish it off. But rather than just sit around waiting, I thought I'd move on to generating content for chapter 19. So early on in the series, chapter 3 had a very brief shot of the Myrkr Base, and since then I've learnt a lot more about iClone, and iClone's graphical abilities have increased, and of course the story requires a lot more of Myrkr Base to be visible. So I've taken that original set, so it still has at least some resemblance to what we saw briefly, but now the time has come to expand it, make sure it can be used in chapter 19 and onwards, because we do see a lot of the base in the upcoming parts of the story, which is very exciting. I have tweaked, I've made some changes already off stream, and today I thought I'd continue that work. So what I've done already is I've added some more buildings. I've actually removed a lot of the trees that were visible before, so I got some more room to place buildings, and of course landing area for the ships. Also realising that I'm going to need several landing areas because of the way the story is structured. So like here they've got Luke's X-Wing, and the Millennium Falcon needs to land somewhere later on in the story where it doesn't see the X-Wing, and then the Thrawn's shuttles need to arrive somewhere where they don't see the X-Wing or the Falcon. So I need to make some space for all of that to happen. Which is going to be fun. Especially getting to animate those scenes as well. So I hope everyone had a good weekend. Here we go. For some reason, the chat was hidden. So now that I've found that the chat was hidden, I thought it's strange that everyone is so quiet, and now I can see what you guys are saying. So Krogan, Kyle, Admiral Moses, Sherry, Matthew, and I'm not sure how to pronounce your name, but welcome all of you, and welcome to everyone who's just listening and hasn't said anything yet. Let's get some questions. Sherry asks, how am I doing tonight? I'm doing okay, a little tired, but otherwise fine. Matthew, I'm waiting for some of the last dialogue to be sent in before I can finish it off. I can't give a date on that, but I can say that it won't take me long to finish it once I have that dialogue. How did you decide to continue making... if I was going to continue making books after Heir to the Empire, I think the logical step would be Dark Force Rising. Hoppy, welcome. So yeah, that part 2 I would include as part of Heir to the Empire project. It may need re-rendering. The scenes I'm working on now probably are going to look very primitive compared to what I can do by the time I get to 32. So I'd go back and re-render that so that they all match the quality of the end of the book, and then release that all as part 2. I don't know how long that would take because I don't know how much it needs to be done and what the rendering times are or anything like that just yet. But it'd be something I would start on as soon as I finish chapter 32. Floopy, welcome. Might take me a little while to get to the New Jedi Order time period. I kind of hope to encourage other animators and filmmakers to pick up some of the other Star Wars books out there and turn them into fan films like I'm doing. I know that there's a Dark Empire one that's already in production. I saw that the creator of it was working on the third episode of that. They were streaming that yesterday or the day before, a few days ago, whenever it was. So that's exciting. I hope to see more. Key to start. I'm looking forward to releasing the next chapter. Just waiting for the last dialogue to be sent in. Alfonso, welcome. Thank you. There's so many of you here today. Mike, thank you so much. I'm glad you enjoy my work. I do believe that there is a fan film of Shadows of the Empire that is being planned, or there was a teaser trailer for it. I don't know how far along it is. You might want to check that out sometime. Hoppy, I'd encourage you to learn to animate and then do some books. But then, of course, I don't know where to point you to start. I kind of taught myself. There's also tutorials out there about animation, if you really wanted to give it a shot. Mario, this is the Talon Card's base. So I've set the lighting. It's the auxiliary lighting, which isn't the way it would actually look, but it makes it easy to work with because it's less demanding on my system. All these buildings and trees are quite intensive, even though I've got a fairly decent system. So I'll turn it back on. I turn it off, the auxiliary light off, just so you can get a better idea of what the real lighting is. But I'm going to turn it back on because it runs better. Well, you could do a flipbook animation of one of the books. It doesn't have to be 3D animation like I'm doing. I would encourage any kind of film or animation work. So yeah, this is what I'm going to be working on today, is improving this base. One of the things I think I need to do is actually shrink down some of these buildings, because, well, maybe I need to expand the ground. Yeah, I think I need more ground rather than make everything smaller, which of course makes things a bit harder to process in the end, but it'll be worth it. It would be a lot of paper, but it still might be worth it. Right, so we've got a landing area over here. There's a line here where this terrain ends and the other terrain begins. We can ignore that because it won't actually be visible in the shots. So what I'm thinking is, we've got a landing area here. We've got the 2 skip ray blast boats and the wild card, and then Luke's X-wing here. The Millennium Falcon needs to land somewhere. What I'm thinking is the Falcon would land here, but they move the X-wing over here somewhere. And then when Thrawn arrives much later on in the story, I think his shuttles will land around here. when Book of Boba Fett was announced, they did say that it would be Mando season 2.5, and when the show started I was a little bit confused by that statement, but now it makes a lot more sense. Of course, it does mean there's a huge shift in tone for the show. I was enjoying the first few episodes, but I think I prefer the change in direction. We are indeed very close to Luke and Mara meeting. I'm looking forward to those scenes. I've got the Mara dialogue already. I'm just waiting for Luke's. Anyway, let's get started. Trees are fairly demanding as well, so we are going to not add those in just yet. We'll add the trees in last, but there's some here just to get an idea of the landscape. Obviously, this is meant to be a jungle planet, so there's going to be loads of trees over here in the distance. Mike asks, how do you decide how to make the scenery? A lot of it must be your own imagination because of the books. Pretty much. There was, for the Star Wars role-playing game, there was a map of the base, but I kind of felt like that didn't really work, at least not from what I wanted to do. So I looked at it and decided to ignore it. There's the comic adaptation, which is useful in some ways. But yeah, a lot of it is just my imagination. I mean, there's some of the scenes I had a very specific way of imagining them when I first read the book, and I've tried to capture that as best as I could when I've created these scenes. For instance, with Misari, I imagined the city on the hill in a cliff top, and so it's all stretching down. Because my parents took me on holiday to France, and we went to somewhere like that, and I was reading the book in the car, and what I was seeing at the window of the car was what was kind of inspiring my imagination. Obviously, what I imagined was a bit more futuristic and Star Warsy, but I just liked the whole idea of this huge cliff, and then the town was kind of built into it and on top of it. Let's see. I do know the books fairly well. I haven't read the second and third ones for a while, although I know at some point I'm going to have to read the second one to start planning what I'm going to do with it. I do have the 98 Mara Jade and Thrawn figures. I've also got Black Series Mara Jade figure up there, which I'm saying up there and pointing, and then realise of course you can't see what I'm doing. And I've got the Star Wars Miniatures game. I've got a lot of Thrawn and Mara Jade figures that they produced for that. I don't think Ahsoka is going to be a direct recreation of Heir to the Empire. I think the way to think of it is, it's a bit like The Winter Soldier. The film is very different from the comic books, even though it has the same basic concept. So it'll be different, but they'll have some shared elements as well. Flippy, I'm looking forward to seeing where the ending of that episode goes as well. We may or may not see more of that in the next episode. I am looking forward to seeing how they wrap up the series on Wednesday. Of course, it means no more Star Wars content for a while. Right, so yeah, what's it going to do? Let's bring in the Millennium Falcon. Not because it needs to be here in the scene, but because I need to make sure it fits later on. So, let's get my Millennium Falcon model up. I somehow don't think that's what's going to happen. But yeah, please don't spoil it for anyone, because just in case people haven't watched it yet. It's, why is that Millennium Falcon so tiny? It should be bigger than that. There we go. That's a little bit too big, but we can shrink that down. So let's get rid of the small one, shrink down the big one. It's about the right size. Or is it? Yeah. So when the Millennium Falcon does land in chapter 20 something, I forget, I think it might be chapter 22. It's going to land over there. And then Thrawn is a Chiss, which is spelled C-H-I-S-S, from the unknown regions. I do think there should be a few more ships here. I don't have a lot of models. I have to find some more ship models. What else do I have? So Admiral Park is actually canon. He was in the first of the new Thrawn books. I don't know if he appeared elsewhere, but the first Thrawn book basically recreates the short story where Thrawn was found in the unknown regions, which includes Admiral Park. Of course, the rest of his story wasn't part of canon yet, but what if it ends with Riker saying "computer end programming," end program, and then stepping off the holodeck? So I think I need to add some more ships, but I don't have any appropriate models just yet, so I'm not going to worry about it now for now. But I will. I'll find some extra ship models and put them around, so it looks like it's there's more here. Creative Imagine Studios. I'm waiting for the last dialogue for chapter 18. So I can't put a date on it yet, but I can tell you that once I've got the dialogue, it won't take me too long to finish it. But all the voice actors do this for fun, so I can't really pressure them too much for it, which I'm sure you understand. Flippy, yeah, I agree with you there about the park. There isn't really any need for him to be in the story. I kind of hope... I would say they're more likely to do something with Eli Vantu. It would make more sense because he's a much more established character in the new canon for him to show up somewhere. I suspect Luke will be in the Ahsoka show, but the effect they're using to de-age Mark Hamill or to recreate him is very difficult, so I don't think he'll be in it a lot. I don't think that... So the story about... I can answer your Mara Jade and Karen Gillan question. Is when she was in Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one, she shaved her hair off, all of her hair off for the role, which is some impressive dedication. And her hair was taken to the wig department, and some people thought that would mean that it was going to be used for a Mara Jade wig, and it wasn't. It was used for something else, which I can't remember off the top of my head. But that was quite some time ago. She'd be pretty good at it, though, I would say. I watched her in Gunpowder Milkshake yesterday. So yeah, they've got... The Millennium Falcon could land... Oh, actually, there's enough space here that I can have more ships. Yeah, so the Falcon could land here, and then Thrawn can land here, and we can have another few ships around here. So yeah, we're going to do that. Oops. Yeah, I'll put some birds or some things flying around. At the moment I'm just building the environment. I'm not actually animating the scene. But when I animate the scene I will put some birds. Do you think there's anyone from the Thrawn trilogy? He is canon because he's in the books and he get mentioned in Rebels. I think Captain Pelion would make a lot of sense to bring back at some capacity. And Mara would make sense as a villain for Ahsoka to fight. What I mean is, in the books, Thrawn tried to recruit her, and later on we learnt that even though she turned him down, he thought that she would change her mind and still work with him to defeat the Vong and other threats. So it'd be interesting to see that a version of Mara where she had actually agreed to work with Thrawn, and she would be a good person for Ahsoka to have actual fight scenes with. Switching back to the actual lighting for a second. Hoppy, yeah, I kind of want to run around this map as well. What else do we need here? We've got some crates, more crates, some more vehicles. Right, let's switch that off. So we've got a land speeder here. I need some speeder bikes, which I don't have, to find some. Make a note of that. The unintentional wildcards. Reading the books is going to be much faster than waiting for me to finish animating them, but I hope you do come back and enjoy them when you finish the books. I'm wondering what this is. Oh, I know what that is. Let's see, we need some more buildings. That's a bit big. Vision of the Future is an excellent book, so I hope you enjoy it. She does not have a cyber arm. But I see where you're going with that. Okay, it's got some extra equipment here. I think the game you're talking about was Clone Wars. I remember playing that on the GameCube. Just Clone Wars. Unrelated to the animated shows. Yeah, that sounds like Clone Wars. I don't think I ever finished it. But it was fun. Very difficult. Just looking for some textures. I had them somewhere. Because trees are very demanding, so there's Dooku had two. A second apprentice, which not many people know about. She was also a Chiss. She was in Galactic Battlegrounds. And I guess Cyber Guy would be a third apprentice. He's a very sneaky man. You can't see what I'm doing, but I'm actually browsing my texture collection looking for... There we go. Trees. because they're quite demanding on my system. So I'm just putting some flat images of trees, same ones I use for Kashyyyk actually. So maybe I should try getting some different ones, but that'll do for now. This is more or less the same thing that video games do to add detail to their backgrounds. So raise that up to there. Obviously we need some hills over here. We'll sort that out in a minute. One more. I don't think there's much weight to the theory that the world between worlds is going to fix the timeline. I think that's wishful thinking on the parts of some people. There we go. We have a nice base with trees in the background. Need some trees in the foreground, but I'm not going to add those yet because, as I said, they're very demanding on my system and I need to be able to animate the scene. So let's switch back to the auxiliary lighting. We're going to copy this set of hills, rotate it around. What I said about the not using the world between worlds is probably not what people want to hear, but I suspect that's the reality of the situation. I played that Wii Lego game as well. That was fun. Somebody X. I will answer that question by zooming in here. I'm not sure why it's transparent. Let's fix that. Yeah, okay. Something to do with the way the textures are imported. So, good catch. Good thing I did that because I hadn't noticed it. The game that's announced that I'm most interested in is the one by the XCOM developers. The strategy game. I don't know if it's going to be like an XCOM game, but I kind of hope it is. I prefer the strategy games to the action games. So, and I'm a big fan of the XCOM series, so I'm interested to see what those people can do. Yes, it is cloaked. Oh, so many of you here today. It's exciting. Who's your favourite characters in these books? Thrawn. Easily Thrawn. Who's your favourite character from these books? A ship that small can't have a cloaking device, and they made the V-38 TIE Phantom. In Rebel Assault 2. And Midnight Suns look like it should be fun as well. But I'm more of a Star Wars fan than I am a Marvel fan. I have watched Caravan of Courage and Battle of Endor, the two Ewok movies. Not for a long time. So the TIE fighters in Edge of the Empire were not cloaked. It was the freighter's cargo bay that was cloaked. It's just that the TIE fighters were in the cargo bay. But as soon as the freighter exploded, the TIE fighters became visible. Alright, so rather than do all of that for the second skip ray, I'm just going to copy it and then delete the glitched one. As Thrawn Treason and Thrawn Alliances they are new books. There's two new Thrawn trilogies. There's one. The first book's called Thrawn, then Alliances, and then Treason. And then there's a second new trilogy, which I'm working my way through, which is called Thrawn Ascendancy, which is about his time in the Chiss Ascendancy before he is found by the Empire. The first one starts with him being found by the Empire and shows his rise to the rank of Grand Admiral. It's written in a way that it works in either timeline, except for a few vague references. Alliances and Treason take place during Rebels, sort of in between. Alliance takes place between season 3 and 4, and Treason takes place during 4 when Thrawn disappears for a little while. Uber, I'm glad you're here. I do plan to keep making more. Just waiting for the last dialogue for the next chapter, and then I can finish it and release it, which I'm looking forward to. But I'm moving ahead a little bit to chapter 19 with this video, and fixing the skip ray blast boats that were transparent for some reason. The first new Thrawn book, just the one that's just called Thrawn, takes place over many years, leading up to the beginning of just before season 3 of Rebels. And then the second one is between seasons, and the third one is in the middle of season 4. Who's your least favourite character? Well, I don't know. The ghost does appear in Rogue One. And Heir gets mentioned, and Chopper's visible as well. Okay, so I fixed that cliff problem there, and then the river goes off in that direction. Yeah, so the ghost is also in the final battle at Exegol, but it's more exciting to see it in Rogue One. Right, so we're going to have some more trees over here as well. Well, Ahsoka is looking for Thrawn, so I imagine we'll see them in her upcoming TV show. Though I'm also hoping we'll see Thrawn before that. And then we'll find out how they survived. But it would be nice to see Thrawn before Ahsoka, even if it's just a tease, one scene. There's a thing on Twitter that got very misunderstood, I think. Earlier someone said that Thrawn is going to be like Thanos, and I think the way that the part he plays in the story is going to be like Thanos. He's going to show up in different places and be some kind of overreaching villain over the whole lot. But people seem to think that meant, this statement meant Thrawn was looking for an Infinity Gauntlet kind of device so that he could wipe out half the galaxy. I don't think that's what Thrawn would do at all. But I think as far as the storytelling goes, having him show up as a villain in many different places is a good idea. And of course it means we get more Thrawn. I'm about halfway through the second Ascendancy book, so I can't comment on how it goes, but I am enjoying it so far. So no spoilers please for that. For those who have read Beyond. I got the third book for Christmas as well, so I'm excited to read that as well. Yeah. I think Thrawn and his plans are very different from Thanos, but I think just when Thanos was first introduced, he just showed up in his chair and didn't really say anything, and he showed up in Guardians of the Galaxy and got a few other brief cameos in places before he became the main villain. So I'm happy with that bits of landscape there. Actually, no, I'm not. I need some more rocks. Let's take that piece. I'm being very lazy and just copying the hills rather than spawning new ones. But you can reshape them like that, and then they can't look different. I think that's an interesting bit of landscape, and we're not going to see it much. Oh, hang on. It's floating in the air. That's not good. See, if I spin it around that way. No, it was better the first way around. Don't mind me, I'm just talking to myself as I do this. We're going to bring it up. Stretch it out a bit more. There we go. The Infinity Art Gauntlet. I think it's going to be in the various Disney Plus shows. So Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, Ahsoka. I don't think it'll be movies. I think it's going to be overlooked for the TV shows that they're doing. Geek Squadron, thank you so much. That was a very unexpected success for part 1. I didn't expect quite so many people to watch it, but I'm glad they did, and I do thank you for your support today with the super chat. So thank you, Geek Squadron, and welcome. Let's see what it looks like with the proper lighting. Sherry, I hope you enjoy it. When we've both read it, we'll have to discuss it. I'm a kind of a slow reader, so it might be a little while before I get to finish it. It's also a huge book. It's nearly twice as thick as the second one. Well, ladies and man, thank you for sharing part 1. I hope they enjoyed it there. I've got this little river flowing through the base here. I thought it had a nice little scenic touch, and the water does actually flow when I press the play button. I'm going to stop that there because there's no need for it. I just thought I'd show it off. So let's switch back to auxiliary light. What I think I'm going to do it in the end is have trees actually. I'm going to do that now. Move that. Make a copy of that. Bring it over here. Actually, so they don't look exactly the same as all the other trees that are around. Let's spin around the other way. I don't know. I don't think Card does come back to Myrkr. I kind of feel like he probably thought that his base was compromised. He was trying to keep it secret, so he couldn't really return, which is a shame. He obviously liked it, liked the planet. Yeah, his base gets blown up at the beginning of Dark Force Rising. I think we'll have an extra line of hills. So bring that copy over here. This is called iClone, this piece of software. Geek Squadron, some of the models I have created, but in this particular scene, they're all models that I found online. Because other model makers are much better at it than I am. So like this Millennium Falcon, for example, it would be beyond my ability to create in this kind of detail. So I find models online, and then if I really get stuck, I will create it myself. The UI melted my brain when I first looked at it, but there are some very helpful tutorials, and then it's just a matter of going through those. I think I spent a few hours on them, and it starts to make sense. Well, the terrain is basically, as far as the software goes, it's identical to the ships or the buildings. There's more static kinds of terrain, but it doesn't look as good. So these hills are basically just the same kind of object as anything else. So it makes them very easy to move around. Right. I'm going to save my work there. Oh, thank you. It's fun to be able to show off what goes into making all of these. Sometimes I don't like to show off what I'm doing because it's nice to give you guys some surprises. We do have some containers. I can't take credit for the grass texture. It actually came in a terrain pack that I bought with the money that you guys very generously gave to support my crowdfunding campaign back in November. So one of the bits of content I wanted to get was this much more detailed terrain pack, and finally getting to, I knew it'd be really useful for Myrkr, and so finally getting to put it to use here. So I'm excited about that, and it has all kind of different textures like this sand, different kinds of grass, dirt, rocks, and so on. Blake, it was fun to put those in. Streetlights. There's this antenna thing. I can make it glow. Probably should, because there's this blue bit up here. But I haven't done that yet because I only placed this a little while ago during the stream. I'm not going to put landing pads specifically. I kind of feel like it works better if they just land in sort of open areas. It's a very rural, not rural. Trying to think the right word. I can't think of the right word, but I feel like just having the ships land directly on the ground fits the theme of the planet better. I do have a Gonk droid, which I haven't imported in, but I'm sure I can find a way to put it in the base here somewhere. So the idea, I've got 3 landing areas. I've got this one over here, which has got the wild card, the 2 skip brays and Luke's X-Wing, and then here we've got the Millennium Falcon, and then over here is where Thrawn's shuttles are going to land when he shows up. I do want to get some other ship models in to make it look a bit more populated than this. Obviously the Falcon will be removed before it arrives, but I just wanted to put it here to make sure it would actually look right. But yeah, I want to get some more smuggler kind of ship models to place around the base, make it look more make it look like there's more to cards fleets than just this. Molded Crow is a good one. Don't think I can put the Outrider in though. I do have an Outrider model somewhere. But there's a point where Luke asks R2 to help him find something he can fly, and I think the Outrider would be too similar to the Millennium Falcon, so that R2 would recommend stealing that one rather than the Skip Rays. And I think Luke would have a basic idea of how to fly the Falcon after all those years. I think I'm going to finish there for the night. I'm getting tired, but it's been great fun talking to all of you. There's been so many of you here today. It's nice to see that. I hope you've all been entertained. I've been enjoying watching your conversation about different aspects of Star Wars. Give you one last look at the base with all the proper lighting. I'm very happy with this. Obviously there's a few more things that I could add here and there, more trees and so on, but I'm not going to do that tonight. So, turn it off, save it, because after all that work, I don't want to lose it. So, yeah, thank you all for coming. It's been fun chatting with all of you, and I hope to see you all next week, so may the Thrawn be with you. Watch part 1 again. And may the Thrawn be with you. Hills. Yeah, I'll probably put more hills in the background as well, but not yet. So take care, may the Thrawn be with you, and see you next week.